Import prices just exploded by 26%. 3-month SAAR real rates are falling, and the Fed could potentially be cutting again into reaccelerating inflation. And I just finished my last tranche long into stocks. Sounds reckless? Well, it's not, and I'll explain why. We'll take a look at all the data because the Treasury quietly armed a $400 billion liquidity bazooka that I haven't seen really anybody talking about. So let's get into all the data, the signals. We'll crunch the numbers as usual and break it down. We're going to start off. I'll quickly talk about this and then we'll continue because we have a lot to get over. But the macro regime engine got a huge upgrade last night. We are now on version 6, and the whole reasoning behind this upgrade was to try and get us more in an offensive position after a bear market bottom, basically try and get better entries as opposed to before. And that helped the numbers quite a bit. We are down to a 13% max drawdown, a Calmar of 0.87, a Sharp of above 1 with an annual return average of over 11%. You can see the equity curve here. You'll notice these new amber shades on the risk bar where this overlay would have fired. But I wrote a whole Substack post about this, so go check that out if you're interested in the deep dive in all the numbers and kind of the reasoning behind this. The long and short of it is that we continue to be extremely risk on. 30 bullish votes to 15 bearish votes, Reflation winning with a total score of 16 votes. However, we're still only 50% position in gold, 50% position in Bitcoin, and a 50% position in Ethereum. And that's not really indecision. That's the data basically telling you where the tailwind is concentrated this week. We'll take a look at the macro weather in a second, but I did want to look at Bitcoin specifically. You can see that we are and have been in a 50% position for a few days now, but the price action is definitely positive. So the trend continues in the right direction, at least for now. For gold, again, we've been neutral for quite a while here, so no changes in gold. And if you're ever interested in to sort of how these signals are computed or what's behind them, there's a nice diagnostic view here on the members only dashboard. If you're interested in getting access to this, just check out my Substack in the link below. And let's take a look at the macro weather. But before we do, I want to talk about what the Treasury is doing, because it's quietly doing the Fed's job. Now, if you're a huge nerd like I am, you can actually take a look at all the data that they drop, their statements, all that stuff, but I'll save you the boredom and just give you kind of the breakdown of why this Q2 refunding meeting was important. The Treasury basically signaled that they're cutting nominal coupon issuance by roughly $40 billion or something like that in Q3. And if you add to that an effective, let's say $300 billion of stealth balance sheet support via MBS principal reinvestment and the RMOP, the reserve management purchases that they're doing, that's Fed adjacent liquidity that doesn't kind of show up on the tape. The thing that no one's really talking about is that the Treasury is seriously considering parking excess TGA cash in the repo market this quarter. Now, they tabled that decision, but if we look at the TGA, there's a ton of money in there. You can kind of zoom out to the max to see where we are historically. So they could come back to this, and if there are any issues, they likely will. So in a sense, the Fed put is back on. Now, if that sounded confusing, it's because it is. Finance just historically loves to make things more confusing for no reason, but I'll explain the MBS reinvestment plus the RMP really quickly here for those who might be new. When mortgages on the Fed's balance sheet get paid off, instead of letting that money disappear, the Fed takes that cash and buys bonds with it. It comes out to about $300 billion a year in fresh buying. And on top of that, the RMP, the reserve management purchases, is the Fed quietly basically buying T-bills to keep the financial plumbing working. Neither one is technically quote unquote QE, but both put cash back into the system, which is positive liquidity wise. So while everyone's talking about Fed cuts, which we'll look at in a second, actually, we can look at it right now since we're on the topic. They're not cutting. It's a 5% chance for June and a 10% chance for July. and a 13% chance for September, they're still injecting liquidity just through non-standard formats, if that makes sense. For those that don't know what the TGA is, it's basically the checking account, if you want to call it that, for the Treasury at the Fed. Cool, with all that data out of the way, we know the signals, how we're positioned, all that good stuff. Let's take a look at the macro weather. So again, this is a dashboard I've built. It's for members. They have access to this anytime. And the nice thing about this is you'll get a sleek overlay here. You can pick any asset class and it'll explain why all the numbers below are signaling a tailwind or a headwind for that asset class. So if we look at stocks, for example, we currently have a weak macro tailwind, meaning things are positive at the margins. And I think the most important thing to talk about with the whole Strait of Hormuz topic that's been going on for weeks now and the situation still kind of lingering, the question isn't who handles the supply chain disruption well, it's who handles it least badly. And that's still the United States. And this explains kind of why the macro weather dashboard has the US dollar as the only full tailwind asset currently. And a strong dollar, as you all know by now, is not great for risk assets and probably why gold is currently capped. But the biggest highlights I wanted to point out here is import prices. Take a look at import prices year over year. The 3-month SAAR is 26% higher. If we take a look at the actual data set, which you get links to, you can see very clearly the reacceleration here recently. And import prices are kind of the leading edge of CPI and PCE. What shows up at the dock today is on the shelf in, say, 90 days, for example. That's why all the PCI and PCE numbers and the entire inflation cycle on the dashboard are basically signaling strongly deteriorating here. Regardless, growth-wise, liquidity-wise, monetary policy-wise, all those things look fairly supportive. So nothing too crazy to call out here. Again, I don't use this to make any modifications in my portfolio, and that's not what this is for. This is to give you a high-level idea of what is the macro saying currently. You can check out all these individual inputs and asset classes and things like that yourself. So with the macro weather out of the way, take a look at liquidity really quickly because not much to call out here. Still easing. 5 out of 7 metrics are expanding. You could see US liquidity here on the bottom and global liquidity in terms of this purple line. So just continues to go higher and the rate of change is still positive for all of these numbers. For financial stress, all the tabs are green. The SOFR Fed Fund spread is where you want to see it, which is in the negative. The VIX is under 20. Move index bond vol is still under 90, which is good. And the dollar continues to be weak, although keeping an eye on this, I think, will be important. So, all right. And before we get to what data dropped this week, let's check the portfolio. As always, I share the receipts. So I have put in the last and final tranche into SPY as of yesterday. So fully invested in equities. I should have went with my gut originally and just lump sum in, but it is what it is. DCA'd this time around, took the coward's way out for the benefit of the psychology portion of it. Anyway, we continue to hold Bitcoin at a 50% position, gold at a 50% position, and same with Ethereum. I have not touched my bull put spread, so this continues to decay positively. We've made about 60% on this already. And at 21 days left, I will be closing this out and rolling a new one. So no changes in the portfolio. First time we're actually in the green this year after taking a hit on the first Bitcoin trade in January before I had all these new systems and we were using the 8th rule, the original indicator. But regardless, things continue to look positive, continue to put my money where my mouth is. And with the portfolio out of the way, we can take a look at some of the data drops this week. ISM Services PMI came in pretty much in line. Job openings came in line. And the only real thing I was looking for this week was the unemployment rate, which came in line at 4.3%. So nothing really to talk about in terms of the data. And we already took a look at the FedWatch odds, so no reason to beat a dead horse there. If we take a look at some of the on-chain data on CryptoQuant, which continues to get worse and worse every week, long-term holders still buying, so that's positive. Retail investor has come up just a little bit, which is not what you want to see, but makes sense given the positive price action for BTC. All the long-term metrics are coming off the lows, and still continuing to trend higher, which is positive. So that's pretty much it for this week. Things are looking up in terms of the macro regime engine specifically, and I continue to refine our edge, follow the signals, and research until my caffeine stock in my fridge runs out. Speaking of which, I'm going to have to make a caffeine run today, but that's it for this week. I hope you enjoy that. If you did, as always, I really appreciate you hanging out with me today. If you did enjoy the video, you know what to do with all the buttons and all that crap down there. So have a great weekend out there, and I'll see you back here next week for the next update. Cheers.
Welcome to the Bitcoin Macro War Room, where we jack into the market mainframe and derug the narrative. Plug into the pipes, M2, DXY, inflation, momentum, fresh prints, CPI, ISM, payrolls, rates, truth by facts, not vibes. Tweets and news rundown, meme to policy, curated, timestamped, tradable.
Welcome, you've got mail.
Copium not included. Roll the tape, let's invest like it's 1999 but with better charts.